Hello and welcome. My name is Oliver, and I will guide you through tonight's story. This evening, we'll embark on Chapter 1, The Calm Before the Storm. I'd love to know where you're joining from tonight. Do you have a favorite holiday story or memory? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them as we journey together. The cozy suburban home buzzed with energy. Daniel stood in the living room, surrounded by his children. A tall Christmas tree stood proudly in the corner, its piney branches exuding a fresh, crisp aroma. The twinkling lights reflected softly off the ornaments, casting gentle patterns of light and shadow across the room. Laughter erupted as they pulled out colorful ornaments. Each one carried a story, memories tied to its shiny surface. "Careful, that's my favorite one," Daniel chuckled as his daughter reached for a delicate glass ball. She giggled, clutching it too tightly, but he steadied her hands. Together, they hung it securely on a branch. The kids raced to grab more ornaments from the boxes, their voices blending into a joyful melody. Time seemed to slow as their laughter filled the room, wrapping everyone in a blanket of warmth. After the final ornament found its place on the tree, Daniel's youngest son held up a tiny wooden Santa. "Look at this one, Dad," he shouted, his voice brimming with delight. Daniel grinned and nodded, encouraging him. They hung it proudly near the top of the tree. The more ornaments they placed, the more magical the tree became. The room glowed, reflecting their excitement and warmth. Once the tree was adorned, the children turned their eyes towards the kitchen. Daniel caught the hint. "Time for cookies," he announced, delighted to shift the fun to baking. Off they dashed, their little feet pitter-pattering toward the kitchen. Flour drifted lazily through the air like delicate fairy dust, catching the soft glow of the kitchen light. The children climbed onto their stools slowly, their small hands reaching gently, ready to embark on their next cozy adventure. Daniel measured ingredients, while the kids squabbled slightly over who would pour the sugar. "Okay, team effort," he suggested, combining their strengths. They took turns measuring, pouring, and mixing, their faces dusted with flour. They shared smiles, their giggles dancing in harmony with the soft holiday music playing in the background. As they stirred the dough, the familiar tune of a classic carol filled the air. The comforting sounds created a cozy bubble around them. Daniel paused for a moment, letting the soothing melody of the music wash over him. It wrapped around him like a warm blanket, blending perfectly with the cozy hum of his children's laughter. He glanced at them, flour-dusted and full of joy, and felt his heart swell with gratitude for this simple, perfect moment. "Don't forget the chocolate chips," his daughter reminded, her eyes wide with anticipation. Together, they added handfuls, their excitement bubbling over once more. The dough transformed into a masterpiece, fragrant and sweet. The kitchen smelled of cinnamon and chocolate, their laughter echoing as each child snagged a taste. "All right, let's scoop them onto the tray," Daniel encouraged, guiding them as they carefully used spoons. Cookie dough plopped onto the baking sheet, each scoop like a promise of sweet joy. They lined the tray as if it were an artwork, meticulously presenting their creations. When the cookies finally went into the oven, they settled onto the floor, eagerly watching through the glass. The light from the oven cast a warm glow, their anticipation rising with the heat. "How long will it take?" his youngest asked, his eyes sparkling. "Just a few minutes," Daniel replied, glancing at the timer. The ticking created a rhythm, calming and steady. They chatted about their favorite flavors, stories intertwining with giggles. As the aroma of freshly baked cookies began to waft through the air, the timer went off. Daniel jumped up, letting out a gentle cheer. "Time for the best part," he exclaimed. They huddled around the oven as he opened the door, warm air rushing out. Golden brown cookies greeted them, their surfaces glistening. "I want one," his daughter squealed, bouncing on her toes. Daniel laughed, feeling the warmth of his children's excitement. He pulled the tray out, and they reached for the cookies, but he quickly raised a finger. "Wait, let them cool first," he reminded them. "Fine." They sighed in exaggerated disappointment, but not for long. They played while they waited, sneaking sidelong glances at the irresistible treats. Once the cookies were cool enough, Daniel broke one in half and shared the first bite. The chocolate melted in their mouths, and delighted smiles spread across their faces. Each cookie tasted like love, laughter, and joyful memories. They munched happily, an unstoppable wave of happiness enveloping them. "Can we decorate them next?" his youngest asked, crumbs on his chin. Daniel nodded, inspired by their laughter. "Absolutely. Let's make them even more special." He gathered icing and sprinkles, their excitement surging again. They spent the next hour transforming their cookies into tiny masterpieces. "This one is a Christmas tree," his daughter exclaimed, icing green dots atop a cookie. Daniel marveled at their creativity. "I love it," he encouraged, feeling joy spill over in every direction. The music played softly in the background, helping the family stay in the moment. The holiday tunes mixed with their preparations, creating a perfect backdrop. Eventually, their work of art filled the table with vibrant colors and shapes. Each cookie told a story of love and laughter. With their creations complete, Daniel gathered his children close again. "You all did an amazing job today," he praised, wrapping an arm around each child. They beamed up at him proudly, their eyes sparkling with the joy of accomplishment. "Can we do this every year?" his daughter asked, her voice hopeful. Daniel nodded, his heart swelling. "Of course," he replied, already imagining future holidays filled with joy. The love in the room surrounded them like a warm hug, as memories of laughter and smiles filled Daniel's mind. As the evening deepened, they lit the fireplace, the soft crackle adding to the atmosphere. They settled down on cozy blankets, munching on their decorated cookies. The electricity in the air danced gently as soft voices mingled with quiet music. This warmth wrapped around Daniel as he cherished the sweetness of the moment. Outside, winter winds began to blow, crashing against the windows. But inside, it was safe, warm, and full of love. The busy world outside felt distant, almost forgotten, wrapped in their holiday cocoon. Daniel sipped his hot chocolate, enjoying the notes of chocolate and cinnamon. He gazed at the glowing tree, flickering lights twinkling like stars. It was a magical sight that filled him with peace. The love of his family enclosed him, bringing calmness inside, even as storms brewed outside. "Okay, everyone, time for bed," he announced gently, knowing mornings would be busy. His children protested in playful groans, but one look from him silenced their smiles. "How about a bedtime story first?" he offered, and their faces lit up again. "Can it be about Christmas?" they asked eagerly. "Of course," Daniel replied with a smile. He loved their enthusiasm. As they snuggled under blankets, he felt grateful for these moments of calm before the storm of holiday chaos. A warmth settled within him as he realized the true gift of the season. Standing in that tiny space, encircled by laughter, love, and cookies, he understood that the most precious treasures weren't found in the hustle, but in these quiet moments shared with family. And with that thought, he prepared to weave a story that would carry them into dreams, a sweet beginning to the cozy night ahead. The festive sounds faded slightly as Daniel glanced at his phone. A text from his father popped up. He felt a lump form in his throat as he read the words. "We're struggling this year, Daniel. Money is tight." His heart sank with each passing word, the message heavier than he expected. He stood frozen for a moment, absorbing the reality. Thoughts raced through his mind. How was he going to share this news with his children? He had promised them a magical holiday. How could he hold on to that promise while dealing with this uncertainty? The cheerful atmosphere in the living room felt like it was changing. Laughter and joyful chatter surrounded him, but the joy he'd felt just seconds ago began to feel distant. He could hear his daughter, Emma, giggling as she decorated the lower branches of the Christmas tree. But each laugh now felt muffled. Daniel let out a slow breath. Could he let this news spoil their celebration? He watched his children move about with such innocent joy. Their eyes sparkled with an excitement he wished to maintain. Yet, the reality of their situation weighed heavily on him. He turned slightly, trying to engage with his children and hide his turmoil. Ben, his youngest, was struggling to hang a glittering ornament. Daniel moved closer to assist him. "Let me help you with that," he said, forcing a smile. While he adjusted the ornament on the tree, memories of previous Christmases floated through his mind. Growing up, his family's financial struggles were discussed in hushed tones. Daniel had vowed to shield his children from such burdens, wanting them to focus solely on joy. "Dad, look, it's perfect," Ben exclaimed as the ornament finally hung. Daniel joined in the laughter, but his heart was not fully in it. He glanced back at his phone, the notification still gleaming ominously. "Not now. Not now," he muttered under his breath, willing the thoughts to dissolve. The boys were starting a snowball fight in the middle of the living room, enthusiasm bursting forth like fireworks. As the pillows transformed into snow forts, the laughter grew louder, yet Daniel felt a growing tension within him. He wanted to engage fully with them, but his mind kept drifting back to the text. This holiday season was supposed to be special. The last thing he wished was to dampen their spirits, but despair began creeping in like an unwelcome guest. "Let's make some hot cocoa," Emma shouted, bounding toward the kitchen. Daniel nodded, grateful for the distraction. He followed his children, hoping that warmth could lift his spirit. In the kitchen, the scent of cocoa filled the air. Emma stood on a stool, reaching high for the marshmallows. Daniel's heart ached with love for them, yet the heaviness from his father's message loomed large. "Can we put on some Christmas music, Dad?" Emma asked, excitement shining in her eyes. He smiled and searched the playlist on his phone, a wave of melancholy washing over him. As the first notes of a cheerful song filled the room, it reminded Daniel of a time when hope felt endless. He joined in their laughter, but remained distracted. Each joyful sound felt layered with his unspoken worries. "Are we getting a new family tradition this year, Dad?" Ben asked as he poured marshmallows into mugs. The innocence in his voice struck Daniel deeply. Yes, buddy," Daniel replied, his voice cracking slightly. He struggled to maintain his composure. "We'll make it special." The assurance felt weak, and Daniel's heart dropped, burdened by the desire to create magic in an uncertain time. He stirred the cocoa, focusing on the task at hand. Yet his mind raced ahead. How would he handle this with his children? Could they understand the difficulties underlying their holiday spirit? Would it shatter their joy? A chill swept through him as he recalled the struggle he faced when he was a child. The memories were sharp and painful. He didn't want his children to feel that weight, the burden of financial worries. But they deserved to enjoy this season without fear. He sighed, grappling with the conflicting emotions. In that moment of reflection, the warmth of the cocoa didn't seem as comforting as he'd hoped. Instead, it highlighted the contrast between the joy and the underlying concern he couldn't shake. "Cocoa's ready," Emma proclaimed, handing out mugs. Momentarily, he lost himself in the sweetness of their laughter, a welcome escape. But even in the midst of joy, Daniel noticed his son looking at him, curiosity in his eyes. "Dad, why do you look sad?" Ben asked innocently, taking a sip of cocoa. The question hung in the air, and Daniel froze. He hadn't realized his expression reflected his turmoil so openly. He hesitated, feeling vulnerable. The celebrations should be bright, not dimmed by shadowy thoughts. "I'm just thinking about how lucky we are," he said finally, forcing a smile. It didn't feel like a complete lie, but still, it was not the whole truth. Emma added another marshmallow to her mug. Her joy continued to overshadow any hint of worry. "Can we do cookies next?" she asked eagerly. Daniel nodded, grateful for her optimism, yet it was laced with an undercurrent of anxiety. The holiday spirit hung heavy, and the room sparkled with warmth. Candy canes adorned the table, but Daniel felt a deep strain in the air. It reminded him of a change that was approaching. The inevitable truth loomed like a shadow over their celebration. "I want to make the biggest cookies ever!" Ben exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. Daniel found himself smiling at his son's exuberance. In that moment, he grasped at his hope, trying to believe they could find a way through the challenges. "Let's get to it then," Daniel replied, injecting enthusiasm back into his voice. As they prepared to bake, Daniel pushed aside the growing anxiety. He wanted their laughter to wash away the heaviness that plagued him. As the aroma of cookies filled the air, he felt a flicker of hope amid uncertainty. He watched his children giggle and dance around him. Their joy created a barrier against the worries, if only for this moment. Still, another thought nagged at him. How could he keep their Christmas spirit bright while dealing with the reality outside their cheerful bubble? He knew the answer wouldn't come easy, but he might have to find strength he didn't know he had. Gathering the children in the living room, I took a deep breath. They sensed my seriousness, their faces lit with anticipation. "It's time we talk about Christmas," I said. The weight of my father's message loomed large. I needed their attention now. I glanced at each of them. "I received a message from Grandpa," I began. A wave of disappointment rippled through the room. Their bright eyes dimmed. "He said money is tight this year." Silence wrapped around us. "Does that mean no gifts?" My eldest Mia asked, the edge of disappointment evident in her voice. I nodded slowly, feeling the heaviness of the decision. "Yes, but it's more than that. We need to think about what really matters." "But Christmas is about presents," Danny, my youngest, cried out. "I want toys." His voice quivered, reflecting his frustration. I placed a hand on his shoulder, squeezing gently. "I understand, buddy. It's hard to hear, but let's think about what this season is really about." The room hung in stillness for a moment. I could feel the weight of their emotions. Mia frowned. "What do you mean?" she asked, her brow furrowed. I took another breath, gathering my thoughts. "I mean that love and family matter more than anything we can buy." Danny folded his arms and pouted. I could sense the storm brewing inside him. Mia sat quietly, processing my words. But then something shifted. I noticed a spark of curiosity in her eyes. "What if we brainstorm?" she suggested hesitantly. "Some different ways to celebrate." Encouraged by her suggestion, I nodded. "Absolutely. Let's think outside the box." Their initial disappointment began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of engagement. "What could we do that doesn't involve presents?" Mia's eyes brightened. "We could bake cookies together and deliver them to our neighbors." Danny's frown softened as he considered this idea. "Yeah, we could make special shapes," he added, excitement creeping back into his voice. "Great start." I smiled, feeling hopeful. "Baking together will be fun. What else?" "We could have a movie night." Mia chimed in, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We could watch our favorite holiday films." Danny bounced on his toes. I want the one with the snowman. Yes, a movie marathon sounds perfect, I exclaimed. And we could make hot cocoa too. The smile on Danny's face widened, and I saw his spirits lifting. Maybe we could do something for people less fortunate, Mia offered softly, like donate toys or food. I felt a rush of pride. She was grasping the spirit of giving beyond receiving. Absolutely. We can make a family project out of it, I affirmed. Let's do it together. Helping others will help us appreciate what we have. Danny's face lit up. Can we go shopping for food? That sounds fun. His enthusiasm warmed my heart. Of course, we can make it a day out, I replied. Family time is what it's all about. They nodded in agreement, and I could see the tension ease from their faces. They were beginning to see a new vision for the season. What about our Christmas tree? Mia asked, tilting her head. We still need to decorate it. Absolutely, I replied, remembering the pile of ornaments waiting to be hung. Let's make that an event too. We can play music while we decorate. Danny jumped in, his voice full of cheer. I love that idea, I said, feeling energized. What if each of us chooses a special ornament? Mine has to be the star, Danny declared, his determination shining through. Mia laughed. Okay, I'll pick something with a snowflake. Well, sounds like we have a great plan, I said. Excitement filled the room as they began sharing even more ideas. Instead of gifts, we could write letters of appreciation to each other, Mia suggested. It can be our own little tradition. Letters are a wonderful idea, I said, smiling at my daughter. It's a way to express how much we care. Then we could read them on Christmas Eve, Danny cried, clearly delighted by the thought. That would be fun. Yes, this season can still be special, I said, a wave of relief washing over me. It's not about what we can buy, but how we cherish each other. I watched them both nod slowly, processing the shift. While they were quietly working through their feelings, an understanding began to form. Mixed emotions lingered, but hope hung in the air too. I still wish I could get that game, Danny mumbled quietly. I knelt down to his level. I know, buddy, it's okay to want things, but we can still be happy with what we choose to do together. That's true, he replied softly, though a hint of reluctance remained. Plus, I added gently, these moments will become our gifts, the memories we make. Mia looked thoughtful. It might even be nicer than presents. Yes, I said, embracing the moment. We'll have stories that last a lifetime. The ideas flowed smoothly as we crafted a plan for the holidays. The children's laughter filled the room. We brainstormed crafts and experiences, from making ornaments to visiting local shelters. Time passed as we shared ideas. I saw the disappointment melt away. Charming images began dancing in their minds. I joined in their fervor, adding bits of inspiration. Each new suggestion bonded us further. We could build a snowman, Danny exclaimed. And make a snow fort. Absolutely, I enthused. Winter adventures are the best. Once again, the house buzzed with excitement, lightened by our shared aspirations. The focus began to shift. I could see the joy returning to their faces. We could even host a hot chocolate party for our neighbors, Mia added, her enthusiasm spilling over. Everyone loves hot cocoa. Let's do it, I exclaimed. You're both coming up with the best ideas. The children exchanged ideas, and I listened intently, encouraging every suggestion. The energy in the room felt infectious. I felt proud of their evolving response. They weren't resistant anymore. They were innovative and engaged. Love was replacing their disappointment. When we finished brainstorming, a calm settled over us. I smiled at my children, feeling thankful for their openness and creativity. This year can be special in its own way. Mia looked up at me. It feels nice thinking of others too. That's the spirit of Christmas, I replied gently. It's about sharing joy. While mixed emotions still lingered, I could sense a shift toward understanding. They were slowly grasping the idea of togetherness over material gifts. Our ideas would fill the holiday with warmth and compassion. "It's going to be a different type of Christmas," I said. "One we won't forget." The evening wore on, and our plans blossomed into something beautiful. I could hear laughter, feel excitement, and I knew love would prevail. As I tucked them in that night, I felt relieved. They had embraced this new perspective. I leaned down to whisper, "Good night, my loves. Our adventure awaits." And with that, they closed their eyes with smiles on their faces, dreaming of the season we would create together. A new spirit filled our home as plans for a simpler Christmas blossomed. We gathered around the dining table, our crafting supplies spread out like an artistic buffet. "Let's make gifts for everyone," I suggested, smiling at my children's eager faces. They buzzed with excitement, eyes twinkling at the thought of creating something special. We dug into the materials with abandon. Markers, glitter, and colored paper transformed our table into a vibrant explosion of creativity. My youngest, Lily, laughed as she accidentally spilled glue everywhere. "Oops," she giggled, wiping her hands on her apron. I couldn't help but laugh as well, the sound echoing in our cozy space. "Just look at this mess," I said playfully, managing the glue-smeared chaos. My older son, Sam, carefully colored a card while muttering to himself, "It's gonna be the best present ever." The laughter filled the room, brought forth from our shared silliness. Each child's unique personality shone through their creations, fostering a beautiful connection. As our crafts took shape, I felt our earlier worries lift. The joy of creation expanded as they shared ideas. "Mine will be for Grandma," Lily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with determination. Sam set aside his card, suddenly filled with inspiration. "What if we made a talent show," he suggested, "to showcase our gifts?" I loved the idea instantly. "Great! Let's show off our talents." I beamed as we planned. My heart swelled with pride for my children. Their enthusiasm made me forget our difficulties for a moment. We spent the next hour selecting our acts, discussing song choices and juggling attempts. The air pulsed with eager energy. Later that evening, the living room transformed into a stage. The soft glow of fairy lights twinkled around us, adding to the festive atmosphere. We positioned our makeshift audience, facing the couch, where pillows served as seats. "Welcome to the first Daniel Family Talent Show," I announced dramatically, my voice filled with joy. The children cheered, ready for our performances to begin. Sam went first, showcasing his magic tricks. He fumbled with the cards, drawing giggles from Lily. "Abracadabra!" he exclaimed, revealing a card that wasn't quite the right one. His sense of humor turned a failed trick into a delightful moment. Next was Lily, who shared her dance routine. She twirled with abandon, her laughter mingling with soft music in the background. As I sat, clapping and cheering them on, my heart felt lighter. This laughter, this joy, it was everything we needed right then. Each performance opened a window to their creativity, allowing us to bond more deeply. We lost track of time, giggling between acts and sharing stories as we built memories that would last. Finally, it was my turn. I cleared my throat, feeling slightly nervous. "For my act, I'll sing a little tune," I said. "A silly song that your grandpa used to sing." I began to sing softly, a playful melody that carried warmth. To my surprise, my children joined in, their voices harmonizing delightful chaos. They squealed in delight as we wrapped up the performance, laughter echoing through our living room. As the talent show concluded, we collapsed onto the couch, breathless and giddy. "That was the best idea ever," Sam exclaimed, his cheeks flushed. Lily nodded furiously, her laughter still bubbling. "Let's do it again tomorrow." "Absolutely," I promised, feeling joy surge through me. But first, we need to bake some treats for our neighbors. The thought of sharing our little creations excited everyone. Baking together would add another delightful layer to our holiday experience. I felt hopeful, a strong sense of connection wrapping around us. The next morning, we reconvened in the kitchen, ready to bake. Flour dust filled the air as we mixed ingredients for cookies. Measure that carefully, I reminded Lily, who was determined to send flour flying. Her giggle rang out as she tried to level the measuring cup. Slowly, our cookie dough began to form, and the scent of vanilla wafted around. While mixing, we talked and laughed. Sam had a brilliant idea to decorate the cookies creatively. "Let's make them look like snowmen," Lily cheered. Excitement surged as we rolled and shaped the dough. The kitchen became our holiday workshop, a planning headquarters for our community treats. Once the cookies were in the oven, we prepared colorful icing and sprinkles for decorating. The smell of fresh cookies warmed our hearts, reminding us of holiday scents past. I reminisced about my childhood baking sessions with my parents, feeling a deep sense of continuity. As the timer buzzed, anticipation tingled in the air. "They're done," I exclaimed, opening the oven. The golden brown cookies emerged, perfectly baked. "Let's decorate." The vibrant colors turned our living room table into a winter wonderland of sugary delights. We carefully added frosting and candy to our cookies. "Look at my snowman," Sam blurted, holding up a rather lopsided version. Lily squealed, giggling uncontrollably. "He looks silly." Amidst laughter, we decorated a few dozen cookies. Each one became a work of art infused with love. Finally, we packaged them in colorful boxes adorned with ribbons, ready to share with our neighbors. "This will make everyone so happy," I declared, watching their eyes sparkle with excitement. "We can add notes too," Sam suggested. "Let's share our love." His idea resonated, and we sat down to write messages for each neighbor, heartfelt words of goodwill. Our notes expressed what this season meant to us, creating a warm sense of community. "Dear neighbor," began Lily's note, "Merry Christmas. We hope you enjoy these cookies." As we created our notes, silence enveloped us, a peaceful and tender moment. It felt special to extend our joy beyond ourselves. When the notes were ready, we gathered our cookie boxes and stepped outside. The chilly air greeted us, and I felt invigorated. We walked from house to house, leaving the treats on doorsteps. With each drop, we felt connection weave into our community. Every doorbell rang with laughter and warmth, spreading our simple gifts of joy. On our way back home, the sense of fulfillment washed over me. "Great job, team," I praised my children, their faces glowing with pride. As we walked, I realized how much joy we rekindled within ourselves. This simpler holiday was far richer than any lavish celebration. As we entered our home, the laughter resumed, echoing off the walls. The warmth of togetherness wrapped around us. "Let's have another talent show later," Sam suggested. "Absolutely," I agreed, a grin stretching across my face. Each day is a chance to celebrate together. And indeed, this Christmas might turn out to be the most memorable one yet. The car ride felt exciting as we approached Grandma's house. The kids buzzed with anticipation.